have picked my first book that I'm going to read, and that is Off to the Races by Elsie Silver. I have been wanting to read this one for a while. I don't really know how to like feel about it because I have heard like mixed reviews about it, as it is Elsie Silver's debut novel, but I am quite excited because obviously I love the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver, so I do have like high hopes for this. We'll see. I don't know too much about what it's about, but it's about our main female character. I think her name's Billy from what I saw when flipping through the book, and she like moved to this small town and she like looks after horses or something, or like she's trained to look after horses. I'm not too sure. And then I don't know much about the main male character, but I think it's like grumpy sunshine type thing, so I'm going to guess he's grumpy. I'm not too sure. I suppose we will find out. This book isn't too long. It looks longer than what it really is because there's like a novella thing in this book, which I didn't realise. Yeah, I am excited to start the series because this cover is stunning, but also like I said, I have had mixed feelings about this, like mixed reviews, but we'll see. I haven't got too far into the book. I am 62 pages in, which is chapter 7, and so far I'm liking it. It's okay. You could definitely tell that it's Elsie Silver's debut novel. Like the writing style is so much different compared to what it was like in the Chestnut Spring series, which I mean is completely understandable. Obviously Elsie Silver has improved since this. So far I'm not really getting like too much of the small town vibes, which is obviously what I was hoping for. I'm hoping that I'll get more of that the more I get into it. I also feel like, I don't know if it's me personally, but like I don't really know what Vaughn's like role is with this whole thing, and all I get is like Billy's there to like train horses or something. I don't really know like too much of the backstory, but I don't know if that's me or the way it was like written. I felt like the beginning of it was quite rushed to the point when you don't really get to know that like the characters. I do remember it saying what both of them do and like what their part is and their job, but like it just went like basically through one ear out the other pretty much. I don't know if that's like my attention span or if that's the book in general, to be completely honest. I don't know, but I don't know how to feel about it right now. I feel like there's kind of like a lack of information about the characters especially, and like the town and stuff. Like in the Chestnut Springs, I know I shouldn't really be comparing them, or in small town romances in general, because it's small town, most of the time you get that small town vibe because it like explains a small town, or it gives you that comfort feeling, if that makes sense. So far I'm not getting it from this specifically. I don't know what it is. Like I said, hopefully I will feel a little bit more towards it however I get into the book, but we'll see. Yeah, it's not bad. I am finding it also hard to like keep my attention. I am finding myself like wanting to like stop reading, like pick up my phone, or you know, it's not really grabbing my attention. Again, I don't know if that's just my attention span or the book. I'm not too sure, but we're gonna see how it goes. Like I said, it's not a bad book so far. I don't want to talk badly about it because that's just not the case at all. There was a quote in here. Sorry for the weird lighting. I am trying to like my best to keep it. There's a quote in here that I was like, okay, this book is going to get interesting quick. It says, having my employee is off the table. The farm is in too much trouble, but having with my employer, now that's another story altogether. Off to the races, honey. So it uses the title. I just wanted to read that, but you know, I feel like it is going to get more interesting. Like I said, not far into it. 62 pages, did I say? Yeah, not far at all. But I am going to keep reading. I am flying through it, so that's a good thing. Like, it is a very quick read. So I'm hoping the more I get into it, the better it will get. Okay, so it's a little while later and I have now finished the book. I could definitely say this is a very, very quick read. I pretty much read it in one sitting, if you exclude like me doing the updates. I do have quite a bit to say about this, to a point where I actually wrote notes because I didn't want to forget anything. So as I went along reading it, I did like dive on into it, like I just wanted to focus on it type thing, so I did write notes, so I thought I would go through that quickly. So I did decide to rate this 3.5 stars. At the beginning I did think maybe this is going to sit at like a 3-star, maybe like a 2.75, but at the 60% mark I did find myself getting into it more. Like I felt myself more gripped and I wasn't wanting to pick up my phone anymore. I was kind of like, okay, I want to finish this book, but I don't know if that's because it got better, but I can say it got better, but also I just got more invested and I was like, okay, I also just want to finish the book now type thing. I feel like if I had put this book down and didn't read it in one sitting, I would have found it hard to pick it back up. Like I said, I don't know if that's me, I don't know if that's just the book, but I am kind of in like a weird place with my reading. As bad as I was, I am enjoying reading again, but just one of those weird things, you know. I definitely think if I put this down, I would not have picked it back up. It would be one I was excited to pick back up. Another thing that I was finding very difficult throughout the whole of this book was a connection between the characters. I couldn't root for them. I didn't care if they was to get together or not. I just didn't feel anything, to be honest. And obviously this is a romance book. You are wanting to root for the characters. You are wanting to, you know, you're wanting them to get together, but I just couldn't care less, and I just weren't really interested. And I obviously read romance small town for the romance and small town, but I just feel like with this book, personally, I just didn't get any of that. The romance, I didn't feel anything, like any connection at all, and the small town vibes, just I feel like they never arrived. Didn't really talk much about the small town. You knew it was a small town because like horse racing and stuff. The small town element of it wasn't like a big part of it, but it is marketed as a small town, so I feel like it was a bit misleading there. My camera's also going blurry and I don't know why, so I'm so sorry. Another thing about the characters specifically is I felt like both of the characters, especially Billy, was so immature. Like they're both supposed to be 28, I think it was. They did not act 28. I don't know what it was. It especially just irritated me. Someone to think like the way she acted about things. It's nice to be confident about things and like outgoing, fine. She was just doing too much at times. Like there was just some things that on her first day she said something about like getting more money because she's good looking or something. I can't really remember specifically. You could say that to your boss on your first day. Like that is realistic. I just don't think that's a realistic thing that you would ever say, and it just kind of threw me off. And there was like remarks and stuff where it's like, are you actually going to say this in real life? I think you could be the most confident person in the world, and I just feel like it wouldn't happen. But there's confident, but then there's just like it wouldn't happen type thing. I don't know, I just felt Billy was quite irritating, but then again, so was Vaughn. I wasn't really a big fan of him. I felt like he had no depth at all. Like he had no personality really, and just felt like there was no depth in his character at all. I didn't feel like there was much to him, and so I feel like just both of them together just weren't it. And the characters obviously is a big part of the story. If you don't like them, you're not gonna like the book type thing. So yeah, that was one of the difficult things about it. And then one last point I would like to say before I wrap up a review for this is, big thing for me was I felt like, without saying too much, without spoilers, the plot of this book, of like what ended up happening at the end, if you know, you know, I felt was quite pointless. Like what was the point? The whole plot of this, the whole point of the story, I felt like there was no point, because in the end, no, it just didn't make sense in the end. I felt like I read all this book and for what? Because nothing really interesting happened. I don't know, I feel like I'm just saying those bad things about this book, but I'm just trying to make like my point across. I mean, it's good enough for me to give it 3.5 stars, but yeah, I just felt like the story altogether, I just don't know if it was me, I just felt like it was pointless. There wasn't much depth to the story either, to be completely honest. That is on that book. I did kind of go on a little rant about that. I think I've said everything I would like to say about this book. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to be reading next, if I'm being completely honest. I might try and see if there's anything on my TBR cart or something. I don't know. I will update you once I know, as I'm trying to like kind of mood read type thing, so I'll let you all know once I know. Okay, so I have quite the update for you all, because I have been reading but I haven't been updating this vlog, and I know that I have been very terrible with this, so I just thought I'd do like a quick up of everything. This is like a mood reading vlog, so I have just been mood reading, and it's kind of gonna be a vlog where I just kind of update you type thing by looks of it. But anyway, so the next read I read after the last book was Play Along. I finished it like at the end of September. I think it was the last day of September. I rated this 4.5 stars if I remember correctly, or 4.25 stars. I'll leave the rating up on the screen. I absolutely love this book. I read it in one sitting, which obviously is shocking considering the size of it, but like I could not put this book down. I devoured the whole book. It was so good. So quick summary of what it's about. It is about Kennedy, and she worked as like a staff of the baseball team, and then but she's like the only woman on this team. Then there's Isaiah, who is obviously the athlete, and they end up having to fake date because they had like a drunken night where they got married, but obviously they're not allowed to like date or anything, so they've had to make this thing up. I'm explaining this really badly because it's been like a while since I read it. Well, a few days, so like my brain isn't fresh anymore, but let me tell you, this is so good. I definitely say the order for me for this series would be Favourite being The Right Move, then Caught Up, then Play Along, and then Mile High. I could definitely say this is like a favourite series of mine. But what I loved about this, I love the characters, I love the storyline, I love the pacing of it as well. There wasn't a moment of like time where I felt like it was being dragged on, or like things were happening too quickly. I felt like everything had like an amazing pace to it. Nothing annoyed me during this book either. Like I said, devoured the whole thing. I was intrigued the whole time, and obviously that is what I love about a book. I mean, I had high expectations for this book, and it definitely succeeded in expectations of mine. So I am so glad that I have finally read this now. I've now completed a series, which is great, but I do believe there is going to be another book. I'm not sure when, but I do believe the next book will be the last book, but I'm very excited. Then I read Gothic Corner. This is the first book that I have read this month. It was actually on my TBR as well. It's great. This book I rated 4.25 stars. I read this also in one sitting. Like, I absolutely love this book more than what I think. Like, I still think about this book, and I read it 2 days ago now, or 3 days. I am still thinking about this book. So like, I am quite tempted to actually move up to like a 5-star, but I'm just going to leave it at 4.25 now. And if I still keep thinking about it after like a week, then I'll obviously move it up to 5 stars, because if you keep thinking about a book, then you obviously enjoyed it more than what you thought. But this is definitely different from what I normally read. Like, I went into this thinking it was like a teacher student, which like romance, which it is. That is teacher student, but there's like mystery to it as well, which I wasn't expecting. So it's about Corvina, and she ends up getting accepted, or like this scholarship into this school, and she's been at homeschooled her whole life. Her mother has kind of like isolated her. She's been homeschooled, she didn't really like hang out, but then once she was kind of like I said, isolated, so she got invited to go to the school. Obviously she went to the school that you like live in and stuff, because she didn't have like a plan or anything. She's 22, I believe, in this book. There's like some mysterious stuff happening, and when she gets there, her roommate ends up telling her like everything that has happened in this, and the teacher, who is Van, he has like a bad reputation about him, and like there's like rumors and stuff that make him seem like bad, if that makes sense. But I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want to ruin it. But yeah, there's definitely like a mystery aspect to this, and I really enjoyed it because obviously I wasn't expecting that. But like I said, a 4.25 star, but I do think I might have to like rate it 5 stars, because I keep thinking about it. And let me just say, there's some shocking twists and turns in this, but I really enjoyed it personally. It was definitely a fun read, an intriguing read, and I couldn't put it down. So that is when you know a book is good. Then I read First Down, which was also on my TBR, I believe. So I'm doing great with the TBR currently. I rated this one 3 stars. I read this yesterday, by the way. So this is about James and Bex, and James is a footballer, and he has to pass this writing assignment or essay to like continue with something to do with like football and stuff. And then there's Bex, who wants to get back at her cheating ex, who won't leave her alone, won't accept that they are broken up. So James and Bex kind of makes this deal up where he will fake date her to like help basically get her ex off her back, and she will help him study for the writing essay that he has to pass. Failed it once, and he has a chance to retry, and he has to pass it this time. And so yeah, in my opinion, this kind of gave me the Deal vibes by El Kennedy. There's obviously a few changes, but like the having to pass like and helping study, all that, like the storyline of it kind of reminded me of it. But this was a 3-star for me for the pure fact of, I don't know what it was, but I did find myself bored and it dragging along some time, and I just weren't intrigued or like invested. And to be honest, I wasn't like, the characters weren't like terrible, but I don't know, I just weren't like rooting for them. Like, if they didn't end up together, it wouldn't really bother me. But obviously it's a romance book, it's just part of it. It's like, it's one of those books. It's average. I liked it. It's not bad at all, but it's not one that I'm going to like think about often. Also, I do prefer the Deal, and since I'm comparing them, it's kind of like that. Then I read Little Stranger, and let me tell you, this book is wild. So I was seeing things all over TikTok about it, and I heard like a clip of the audiobook, and I was like, okay, it seems wild. And let me tell you, it was crazy. I don't really know what to say about this book, because everyone says it's better to go into it blind, and it is. I did read the synopsis, and it was a wild ride, and that's what I'm going to say. Did I read it in one sitting? Yes. But I did decide to rate it 3 stars, because I would definitely say first half was intriguing. in a sense. Then the second half was like wild and it completely flipped like the vibe of it. So that's all I'm going to say about that, because like I said, better to go into it blind, and this book does have quite like controversial things around it, so I don't want to talk about it too much. Then not long ago I finished Travis by Mia Sheridan. This book I decided to rate 2.75 stars, which is actually shocking because I thought I would enjoy this a lot more. Now, it's not the fact that I didn't like it per se. I think it was more of like a closure book, if that makes sense. So in Archer's voice, you are made to like not like Travis at all, but this is kind of like his redemption. So you actually like learn about his story and his side of things, and you actually see him have like happily ever after, like healing and all that stuff. And I feel like that's what this book was generally for, to see all that, for him to have a redemption mark. So I liked it, but like I weren't hooked on the characters too much, to be completely honest. Like, they weren't terrible, but I just didn't really feel the chemistry between the characters or like the connection or anything. I was finding myself like bored and blanking out at times when reading, and I had to like go back and stuff. But yeah, I don't know, I just feel like this isn't also gonna be a book that I think about again for a while. But yes, so I think I'm all caught up on all the books that I have read so far. So I am doing well in my mood reading, and I'm finding it very hard to just look at my book cart and like pick up a book. So I've been doing this thing where I actually use the spin wheel, where I've put all like the TBR books that I kind of like fancy reading right now. I'll spin the wheel and that chooses it. So that's kind of what I've been doing, and I did that not long ago, and City of Bones was chosen. So this is going to be my next read that I start. I am nervous for this, but I'm also excited because this has been on my TBR for 4 years. It's actually on my October TBR, so I'm also getting another book down off my TBR, which is great. I am, like I said, nervous for this, but I'm excited because it's also about vampires, and obviously I love books that are about vampires. It's just my thing. I am going to start this, and hopefully I will enjoy it. We'll see. Okay, so it's now the next day, and obviously I'm kind of doing the update like very randomly currently. Last night I actually finished City of Bones, or should I say very early this morning, because I did stay up most of the night reading this as I was enjoying it so much. I actually enjoyed it more than what I was expecting, to be completely honest. I was shocked at how much I was hooked on this. I did some 3 sittings throughout the day yesterday, and goodness, I loved it so much. So I rated it 4.5 stars, and I must say I was actually, like I said, pretty shocked about how much I enjoyed this, and I'm actually like quite disappointed in myself that it took me 4 years to pick this book up, but I'm finally glad that I have read it now. And there's a part of me that wants to continue the series, and like I was quite tempted. I want to kind of like read as much off my TBR cart and like main TBR as possible first. Whenever I put this book down, I always felt myself like wanting to pick it back up, which I haven't had with a fancy book specifically in a very long time. The last time I enjoyed a book like that was when I read Fourth Ring, and so it was amazing to feel that again. And I don't know why, but this has kind of put me in like a fancy mood, which is crazy. Like I'm never in a fancy mood, not really, and I just find myself wanting to pick up fancy now. So there's that. But quick summary, I'm not very good at explaining fantasy books, so you'll have to bear with me. But quick summary about this is it's about Mary, is that how you say it? And she was like raised in the human world, but then she ends up seeing some people that not everyone else can see, and they are the shadow hunters. And shadow hunters are basically like people that can like get rid of demons or something like that. It turns out that she's actually one of them, but she didn't know because she was raised in the human world. I'm hoping that that wasn't a spoiler. But the backstory is Clary Frey is seeing things, vampires in Brooklyn and werewolves in Manhattan, and was irresistibly drawn to the shadow hunters, a secret cadre of warriors dedicated to ridding the world of demons. Clary encounters the dark side of New York City and the dangers of forbidden love. So there is kind of like a hint of romance, but like not really. Like that is not the focus of this book at all. There's like one moment and there's like tension, but that's about it. And I feel weird saying that considering the end of this book, but that's all I'm going to say. I really want to continue this series, and like I'm quite tempted, but like I said, I want to read as much as like my actual like TBR that I planned as I possibly can. Hence why I picked up next was Love Unwritten by Lauren Asher, and I got 48 pages into this morning. And okay, so far like I feel like I don't know if this is just me, but I feel like it jumped into things straight away. Like, I don't really know what's happening currently. It really did like just jump into things, and so I am like quite confused because I'm like, how was it made where she was like the nanny? How do they know each other? Like, well, I know how they know each other. They've known each other since high school, but you know what I mean? Like, I have so many questions because, like I said, I feel like it's just jumped into quite a lot. Is about Ellie, and she is the nanny to Raphael's son. Raphael and Ellie have known each other since high school, and that's all like we really know, like based off the book. That's what I'm saying. Raphael and his son don't have like the best relationship, like communication wise, and it seems like Ellie is kind of like person in between and their way of communicating. I don't know, to be completely honest, but that's like what we're getting so far. I feel like it's not much, but I'm hoping we get something very soon. But then again, it is also a 600-page romance book, and why does a romance book have to be 600 pages? I don't know. But I'm going to give it a chance because I have heard amazing things about this book. I've had people really enjoy it. It is the single dad nanny trope, and that's like one of my favorites. So I'm hoping I will enjoy this. I'm hoping that I will start to feel a connection between the characters and everything, because obviously I'm only 48 pages in from 600 and something pages, so there's still a lot to happen and a lot to like dive on into. So that's what I'm hoping. But I will be putting this down temporarily while I read God of Malice by Rena Kemp, because this is, I believe, the like first book that is happening for Smatella, and so I'm going to be starting that in a few hours. That's what's happening. I'm hoping to finish God of Malice tonight, if not tomorrow morning maybe. We'll probably finish it tonight, knowing me. But yeah, and then I can continue with this. So I will give you all an update when I next can. Yeah, it will be tomorrow. Hopefully I'll have quite a few reading updates. I haven't really done much reading today, but like I'm not too fussed because I know I'm going to do quite a bit tonight. Yeah, that's what's happening. And let's hope I can actually read these romance books that I have planned and not pick up a fantasy, because that's literally all I want to do right now, which is just very unusual for me. But like, I'm kind of loving it. I think what I loved most was like I have been craving something different, and I was looking for that in romance books, and obviously romance books are always quite similar. So then I turned to like some dark romances, and again, not similar but still romance. I think I was looking for something completely different, so I think that's why I enjoyed the fantasy book a lot more as well. But I'm going back to romance for now, because this is kind of like God of Malice I really want to read because of Smatella, but then also have started this, so like I'm gonna finish it. Anyway, I am going to stop rambling now, and I will speak to you all tomorrow. Hello everyone. It has been a while since I have updated this reading vlog. I have read a lot. I have been reading but not updating, so I have a lot to talk about. So sorry if this gets boring. I'm gonna try not to ramble too much, or I'm just gonna try and keep it speedy so that I'm not talking too much. This video is just not going the way I planned, but I suppose I am still mood reading, so that is all that matters. Can't really remember too much of where I left off, like what the last clip was. If I remember correctly, I said I was reading Love Unwritten, but I was also going to read God of Malice or something like that. So that is kind of where I'm going to continue from. So Love Unwritten, I never actually picked back up since then, as I have just been reading other things. I will get back to it. I don't know if to start from the beginning or not. I'm going to decide, but I don't really think I'm going to pick that up anytime soon. It just weren't the time. Like, I'm not DNFing it or anything. I will pick it back up eventually, probably this month at some point in October. I just haven't really got round to it because there has been other books that like I've been reading for some readathons, or I'm having to like read other things and stuff like that, or books that I want to read in October because it's like spooky season, you know, it's just different things like that. So that's the only reason why I put that off for now, but like I said, I will get back to it eventually. But I did go on to read God of Malice by Rena Kemp, and this book was wild. I knew going into it that it was pretty dark and there was like a dark aspect to it. I weren't going into it naive, but when I tell you that this was dark. Some of the things in this was just wild to me. Did I read it quickly? Yes. Would I recommend it? Maybe. Please check the trigger warnings if you are going to go into this, because let me tell you, there are so many triggering things that happen in this book. But yeah, I can't even explain fully what this book is about, to be completely honest. So I think I'm just going to read the synopsis to you, because there's loads of things that in this book that like I could say and it could possibly be a spoiler, and obviously I don't want to risk that in case you want to read this. So it says, I caught the attention of a monster. I didn't ask for it, didn't even see it coming, but the moment I do, it's too late. Killian Carson is a predator wrapped in a sophisticated charm. He's cold-blooded and manipulative and savage. The worst part is that no one sees his devil side. I do, and that will cost me everything. I run, but the thing about monsters, they always chase. So you see, even in the synopsis, it's quite like, it doesn't give you much information, hence why I don't want to explain too much about what this book is about in case I do spoil things. So I'm just going to leave it there. But I did end up rating it 3 stars, as it was good. Like it wasn't bad. I did enjoy it in a sense, but I do feel like parts of the story was dragged out. There was a lot of triggering things within this book. Also, I don't know, I felt like parts of the book it didn't grab my attention. Personally, what this book is about typically wasn't for me. It just wasn't grabbing my attention at all, but that don't mean I didn't like it. That is why it's a 3 star. It's average. I don't really have too much to say about this book. It's definitely one that like I'm not constantly thinking about. I think I would recommend it to a dark romance lover. That's what I'll do, but obviously I'd always say check the trigger warnings, because yeah, you might be a dark romance reader, that don't mean you don't have your triggers. Okay, and then I read Scream for Us by Molly Doyle, I think that's how you say. I've read this before. I read it in, I want to say 2022, I think. So this was a reread for me. It was only 81 pages. It was part of Smartella, and I thought, why not? As obviously it's October, it's a good October read, and it's only 81 pages. So I decided to reread it, and I have decided to keep it at 3 stars. It's an average, you know, novella with some dark romance suspense aspects to it, which is nice. It is also a reverse harem. If you are into that, then I think you would like this. If you are looking for reverse harem, dark romance suspense, a novella, something for Halloween, something dark, then I think that this would be a perfect quick read for you. Again, I would probably say check trigger warnings. Obviously it is a dark romance, so there are some triggering stuff in it that I feel like could be triggering to some people. So yeah, I say check trigger warnings for all books, but especially like dark romance if you're going into it. Okay, then I read City of Ashes. I don't believe that Goodreads has put this in order, because I think I read this before all of that, but it's fine. I read City of Ashes, and I decided to rate this one 4 stars. I obviously can't say too much about this book without ruining the first one, because obviously it's part of a series, it continues, so I feel like I can't really say too much about this one. But there was definitely loads of things that I did find really interesting. There was parts that like cringed me out, because if you know the plot of this book, and I have been spoiled for this series, I'm not going to lie, I do know what's going to happen eventually, or something that's going to happen eventually. So when you know that and you read the second book, you do cringe a lot, but I'm trying to like ignore that fact. I didn't really want to put that towards my rating, because I'm not supposed to know that. So yeah, but I just preferred the first book over this one. This one was still really good. I read it very quickly. It grabbed my attention very quickly. I loved how much like action there was in this one. Obviously there was some action in the first one, but not much. There was a lot more action within this one. I don't know, I just really enjoyed it in a whole. I can't really say too much about it, because like I said, it's the second book. I don't want to accidentally spoil anything, but I definitely regret not starting this series sooner. The only reason I didn't was for the pure fact of I just didn't know what order to read it in, but then I did some research, and I'm glad that I've started it now, because I'm really enjoying it, and I feel like the order that I'm planning on reading it in is going to be a good order, especially from what I have been spoiled with. So I don't know, we'll see, but I am really enjoying the series so far, and I can't wait to get into the third one, which I don't know when that will be. Hopefully this month, we'll see. I am very excited to continue this series, which means it's, you know, a good start. Then there is Corrupt by Penelope Douglas. This book actually surprised me. I rated this one 4.5 stars. It surprised me in the fact of I wasn't expecting to like this one as much as I did. I don't know why. I feel like I've been hearing more things about the third book in the series, and that is most people's either favourite or least favourite, depending. You always hear about this one character, Damon I think is his name. You always hear about him, so I didn't really know what I was going into for Corrupt, because obviously it's the first book in the series. I haven't really heard much about this one, to be completely honest. I did actually really enjoy it a lot more than what I thought. So it's about Michael and Erica, and Erica is Michael's brother's girlfriend, and they do grow up together, and Michael is like known as like the scary one, and like Michael and his friend group is like people you should be scared of. Erica has always kind of like had a crush on Michael, but like obviously didn't want to say anything because she's with his brother. But yeah, there's a lot more to that, and I do feel like I'm not doing this book justice. So because of that, I think I am going to read the synopsis, because like I said, I do feel like I'm not doing this book justice. I am not explaining it the way I would like to, because again, I don't want to give too much away, because it is better if you go into this blind. The ending of this book was crazy. I definitely was not expecting that. Like, you have like this scene throughout the book, and then it just takes a massive turn at the end. I'm very excited to continue with the series, but I'm going to read the synopsis. Erica, I was told that dreams was our heart's desire. My nightmares, however, became my obsession. His name is Michael. My boyfriend's older brother is like that scary movie that you peek through your hand to watch. He's handsome, strong, and completely terrified. The star of his college basketball team and now gone pro. He's more concerned with the dirt on his shoe than me. But I noticed him. I saw him, I heard him, the things that he did and the deeds that he hid. For years, I bit my nails unable to look away. Now I'm graduating high school and moved on to college, but I haven't stopped watching Michael. He's bad, and the dirt I've seen isn't content to stay in my head anymore, because he's finally noticed me. Michael. Her name is Erica Fain, but everyone calls her Rika. My brother's girlfriend grew up hanging around my house and is always at our dinner table. She looks down when I enter a room and stills when I am close. I can always feel the fear rolling off her, and while I haven't had her body, I know that I have her mind. That's all I really want anyway. Until my brother leaves for the military and find Rika alone at college in my city, unprotected. The opportunity is too good to be true, as well as the timing, because you see, 3 years ago she put a few of her high school friends in prison, and now they're out. We've waited, we've been patient, and now every last one of her nightmares will come true. See, I completely forgot to explain to you the prison bit, so that's why I decided to read the synopsis, because the synopsis obviously does it a lot better than me. There's specific scenes within this book that I remember that have like stuck with me, and if that happens with a book, I know that I like it, because I read so much, so I do forget what happens in books a lot easier, but I can like picture different scenes and stuff, and that just proves to me that how much I liked it, because I mean it really stuck with me, clearly. Okay, and then I continued the Sugarland Creek series. So I read book 2, which is Stay With Me. Book 2 excluding the prequel novella that comes before Here With Me. I rated this one 4.5 stars. I absolutely loved this. I loved the characters. Trip was like such a great character, so is Magnolia, but how Trip cared for Magnolia in this book was everything. Like, that is the type of like boyfriend you like to read about, which obviously was fun. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I did read it in one sitter, I believe. That's what I like about these books, is that they are like very quick reads. Because I'm talking about so many different books, my mind is blanking about every single one as I'm talking, but this one is a best friend's brother standalone. That was it. But yeah, I decided to continue with this series because I was expecting an arc for the 4th book, so I was like, I need to catch up with the series. I want to continue the series anyway because I love this series, but I was like, I need to continue the series ready for this arc, so that's why I decided to read these. But it says, I've crushed on my best friend's brother for years. He's a 6'3" dark-haired cowboy who works on his family's ranch and sends butterflies to my stomach anytime he looks at me. But he's never made a move, so I need to get over it. Except when he reads a text message about me liking a mysterious guy, he snaps and demands answers. Little does he know it's my code name for him. When he finally confesses he likes me too, I find out I'm pregnant with my ex-boyfriend's baby. Okay, so that's what I'm going to read, because the next bit, I know that people would like to go into blind, but there is a twist within this. There's like a surprise thing. But yeah, that's what I'm going to read, but that gives you the basis of it. So it's kind of like a thing where they like each other, yes, but it's like none of them are brave enough to confess, so then they just go years like pining after each other. Going to explain for that book. And then obviously I went on to the 3rd book, which is Fall With Me, and I rated this one 4 stars. This one is about Landon and Ellie. It says, I've hated Landon Hollis for the past 7 years. Oh yes, so this one is kind of like a dislike to lovers. Ellie and Landon, they don't like each other. More Ellie doesn't like Landon, but then she ends up losing her memory and they end up like getting closer, spending some time together. Obviously she doesn't remember why she doesn't like Landon, but everyone's telling her that she didn't like him and she's like, why, how could I not like him? And then obviously the story continues. Definitely an interesting one. Like, I am not normally a fan of memory loss books. I have read one before by QB Tyler, but initially I'm not a big fan. But this one I actually really enjoyed because it was just done so well. And you didn't really, well, you did think that she lost her memory because obviously it's the main plot, but it wasn't always, it's hard to explain. But I didn't really pay attention to it quite often. Okay, then I read The Witches at the End of the World. To be completely honest, I don't really have much to say about this one. It was 2 stars. I did have high hopes for it. I did also go into it blind for the pure fact of I haven't really heard anyone talk about this book before, so I didn't really know what to expect. I don't know, I read it in one sitting. It took me like 2-3 hours to read. If I'm being completely honest, I couldn't really tell you what it's about just for the pure fact that I forgot. All I know is it's set in Norway, and I know that because I would love to visit Norway, and that's what I remember from it unfortunately. So I can't really tell you what this is about. It wasn't a favourite, which is okay because there was a lot of books that I obviously have liked. Then I read Slash or Pass by Tyler Page. This one I rated 2.5 stars. I think I'm going to settle on this. I did originally rate it 2 stars. Well, I was thinking I'd rate it 2 stars or 3 stars, but then I decided to settle on 2.5 stars. This was definitely a different type of book that I don't normally read. It's a romance, kind of horror, reverse harem, MMF, thriller. It's perfect for Halloween. So it says when we get told to run, we get up and don't look back. We had one shot to get out of Sinister Minister's grasp and we took it and in Kansas, and I fled in the middle of the night with the promise that we would never tell a soul about what happened at the house and how Constantine died. Isley has spent the last decade looking over her shoulder while trying to forget the horrors the minister and the family inflicted of her and others. However, something continues to call her in the deepest roots of the psyche. She can't escape the nightmares of her time trapped in the cult. All of her fears come to a head when she finds a letter taped to the door informing her that a documentary is being made about the minister and the events that took place 10 years ago. When she politely declined, she can't help but wonder why they didn't fight her more to talk. It isn't until she turns on the TV that she sees that they didn't need her to talk because they had someone else to captivate their audience. They found Constantine. He's alive. He remembers that we left him. I went into this book blind, like completely blind. It was for Smetella. I've never heard of it before. I didn't even like read the synopsis, nothing. I just got it on my Kindle because it's on Kindle Unlimited, and I just read it. So there was a lot of things that surprised me. There was times when I was confused. I didn't really know what to say. I did write notes with this one, to be fair, when I was reading it, because I was confused about what was happening sometimes. I don't know if that was just me, so I was trying to like so I put the storyline just wasn't really for me, and there was times when I was a little confused on what was happening, but I don't know if that was just me. I also did not feel a connection between the characters. It was confusing in the middle. Then I started to enjoy it for about 30% of the book, and then it lost me again. I would also say it was a bit too long, so I felt like it was being dragged out a bit. There was a lot of references and use of new age slang, which was off-putting to me. The spy scenes also just felt rushed, and there was barely any MMF. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to actually continue with the series, as obviously this one didn't really grab me. It did leave on a cliffhanger where I'm kind of like, what happens next? But I just don't think I'm intrigued enough within the story to continue or care to continue. Yeah, I don't know. I might change my mind in the future, we'll see. But that is my thoughts on that one. And then I listened to the audiobook for To Complay. I actually really enjoyed this audiobook. I rated it 4 stars. It was nice to listen to while diamond painting. It's a fun romance. It's a novella, contemporary romance. It's an enemies to lovers spicy romance set in the world of video gaming. So if you are a fan of video gaming, then this is definitely a book for you, as that is like what it's about. Also obviously with romance. But yeah, it was a fun one. I enjoyed it. Don't really have much to say about it. Then I read Galatea by Madeline Miller. I haven't heard people talk about this book enough, but I did rate it 3 stars. I've heard people talk about it, hence why I wanted to read it, but I feel like this should be talked about a lot more. I don't know, it was a quick read. It was beautifully written, and I found it fascinating how Madeline Miller discusses on the women's places in the society and how it reflects the modern day. And obviously, like, just the writing style, I just felt like everything was perfect in this. Obviously I rated 3 stars because it is a novella. I think it's like 27 pages, I want to say, or something like that. I don't know, I'd rate my books from like length as well sometimes. Definitely highly recommend reading this if you haven't already. I would definitely say it's very underhyped. Then I read God of Pain, which is the second book in the Legacy of God series, and I would definitely say I think I preferred this one. I rated this one 3.75 stars. I would love to continue with the series because I'm very excited to get to God of Fury, which is the fifth book. I'm questioning myself. Yeah, this one says, I made a terrible mistake being a mafia princess. I knew my fate was already decided, but I went ahead and longed for the wrong one. Harrison King is bad news with a gorgeous exterior. He's silent, broad, and obviously emotionally unavailable, so I thought it was over until he awakens a beast inside me. My name is Annika Volkov, and I'm Creighton's worst enemy. He won't stop until he breaks me or I break him. It's a, obviously, dark romance, college. I'll check trigger warnings because there's a few triggering things in this, but yeah, overall, I think I prefer this one over the first one. I felt like there was more to the story. I was finding a few things more like interesting about it, like kind of like wanted to know what happened. I didn't mind like continuing. I pretty much read it in 2 sittings, and then I read Family of Lies. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't really remember much about it. Obviously it's 1 star. I think what would have helped me with this one if I reread the first book, because I do think they link in a sense. This is actually like the prequel, but I know obviously most people read it second because it came out afterwards. I think if I read the first book again, like reread it, I would have probably enjoyed this one a little bit more. I'm not too sure. We Were Lies, I rated 1 star. I only read this one because it was on my physical TBR. I just don't think this author is for me personally, and that is okay. I don't know, I think it's like the writing style, some of the stories. I'm not too sure, but I just don't think I'm going to read anything from this author in the future, as both books have been 1 star. But I am going to be honest, and I'm going to say I could be wrong, I'm not too sure, but I think maybe I would have enjoyed it a little bit more if I had reread the first one. I don't really remember much about the first one. All I remember is like it took me 3 months to read it, and it's short, so I don't know. I did listen to the audiobook for this though. I listened to it in 1 sitting as well while diamond painting, so like it wasn't too bad. And lastly, I am so excited to talk about this one. This is the 4th book in the Sugarland Creek, Only With Me. I not long finished this. I finished it 2 days ago. I still think about this book. This book was 5 stars, absolutely love. This was the arc that I was obviously waiting for, and I received, and oh my goodness, by the time you're seeing this, it's probably already out. It's coming out the 25th of October. It's currently the 24th as I'm filming this, so I think it will definitely be out. But I love this book so much. I'm going to read you my review because I do not want to miss anything out. I think even in my review that I wrote, I have missed something out that I wanted to add. I just have so many feelings and thoughts about this book that I'm like, I can't even comprehend my own thoughts. But I'm going to read to you what I wrote in my review so that I don't actually leave anything out, because I want to say everything all at once. So I put, wow, this is definitely an emotional rollercoaster for me. 1 minute I was giggling, kicking my feet, the next minute I was sobbing. This book follows Waylon and Harlow, who is his ex-girlfriend's little sister. The mental health rep in this book was done amazingly, and you can definitely tell that Brooke did her research. Please check the trigger warnings before diving into this book, as parts of the book are very hard to read, but if you can read this, please do. I love the series and the town of Sugarland Creek. It's the most competent town and series. I love the chemistry between Waylon and Harlow and the text messages. If you know, you know. I loved how open and confident Harlow was during the book, even though she's inexperienced. She makes you think she is this inexperienced, naive 20-year-old, but quickly proves you wrong. Waylon is everything you want and more. He's loving, caring, protective, and an extremely good teacher. Again, if you know, you know. The way the story unfolds is magical, and the chemistry and connection they share just make it all the better. Both are struggling with anxiety and depression, and are dealing with trauma from their past and their present. It helps their bond grow until denial is a thing of the past and feelings needed to be dealt with. I'm personally not normally a fan of slow-burn romances, but I love the pacing of this book, and it didn't bother me one bit because I just was so invested in the story. Then the tropes for this book is a cowboy, small town, mental health rep, ex-girlfriend's little sister, spicy lessons, 12-year age gap, forbidden, secret romance, hidden identity. I think I have covered everything. I did read this book in 1 day, 1 sitting. Couldn't put it down. I literally could not put this down. Like, I am so obsessed with this book, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I cannot stop thinking about this book, and if I could reread it now I would. But I think I have updated everything. I have been talking for so long. I have definitely been talking for over 20 minutes to the point where I'm losing my voice now. Okay, so it has actually been days later. I can't remember the last time I filmed for this vlog. It's kind of all over the place, so this is definitely going to be a chaotic mood reading vlog. But yeah, I just thought I would do one last update. So I finished Angelica Frankenstein Makes Her Match by Sally Thorne yesterday, and I rated it 3 stars. It was definitely a fun, quick read, definitely fun for October if you're looking for something that isn't to be taken so seriously, then this is definitely a book for you. Also, I don't know why my camera is blurry. Okay, there we go, that's better. I've sorted it. Anyway, yeah, if you are looking for something light-hearted, fun, not too serious for Halloween or just spooky season in general, I would definitely say this is a good book. So, quick rundown, it's about Angelica. She is looking, I don't know how to explain it properly, she's kind of like looking for the perfect man, but then she ends up making her own perfect man. She's a scientist, so that is how that is possible. I don't feel like I'm going to do justice because, yeah, I finished this book last night, but I just feel like it's also not a memorable book. Like, it's not one, it's going to be one that you, at least for me, I found it fun reading at the time, but it's not going to be one that I'll probably reread. It's also not going to be one that I really remember details about, and I can promise I don't remember details about. So I think I'm going to get the synopsis up so that I can actually read the synopsis to you, so that I can explain what this book is about properly, because I feel like the way I just explained it just weren't doing it justice. It says, for generations, every Frankenstein has found their true love and equal, unlocking a lifetime of blissful wedded adventures. Clever, pretty, and odd Angelica Frankenstein has run out of suitors, and fears she may become the exception of his family rule. When assisting in her brother Victor's groundbreaking experiment to bring a resembled man back to life, she realizes that having an agreeable gentleman placing in the guest suite might be a chance to let a man get to know the real her. For the first time, Angelica embarks on a project that is all her own. When her handsome scientific miracle sits up on the lap table, her hopes for an instant romantic connection are thrown into disarray. He resurrects Beau, named Will for the moment, has total amnesia, and is solely focused on uncovering his true identity. Trying to ignore their heart-pounding chemistry, Angelica reluctantly joins the investigation into his past, hoping it will bring them closer. But when a second suitor emerges to aid their quest, Angelica wonders if she was too hasty in inventing a solution. Perhaps fate is not something that can be influenced in a laboratory, or is Will, or whatever his name is, her dream man, tailored to her in every way. And can he survive what was done to him in the name of science and love? That is a way better way of explaining it, the synopsis, than what I was trying to do, because what I said just didn't give it the full extent. That's like in my own words. But yeah, like I said, definitely very fun. That's why I rated it 3 stars. Not very memorable, but fun time. And yeah, to be honest, I don't really have much to say about it. I've been wanting to read this for a while. It was on my October TBR last year, or something that I wanted to read last year. I just never got round to it at that time, but I'm glad that I finally read it now, and yeah, it was a fun time. So this is where I'm going to end this vlog, because I feel like it has been going on for a while now. If you would like to see more videos like this one, where it's quite like lengthy, just fun book chats where I just talk to you about books, I might next time try and add in some like time lapses and stuff, as I know that's what some people prefer. It's just this time I'm trying to get myself back into filming slowly, so I was just doing like the updates. But let me know if you prefer this version of reading vlog, or if you'd like time lapses, mix it up, whatever you like. Also, let me know if you prefer the longer vlogs, because if you prefer the longer vlogs, I'll be sure to make them for you all. I just thought I would, you know, test it out, see what the longer vlogs look like. But yeah, anyway, thank you all again so much for watching, and thank you for sticking around this long if you are still here. But yeah, anyway, thank you so much again, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.